To anybody out there still listening, this will be our last transmission.
There comes a time in every man's life
And he has to stop looking up to his heroes and become one himself.
it doesn't matter who you voted for.
Or what kind of car you drive, or what the man on the news has to say.
Just take a look around. This ain't the life we fought for.
Our world is under siege,
Our nation is in peril.
and our people are divided.
We've sacrificed too much for our freedom to let it slip away now. The world doesn't need more billionaires.
The world doesn't need more politicians. The world needs heroes. And you don't need X-ray vision, you don't need to fly, you don't need to look cool on the cover of a comic book. You just need to realize what you're made of. And you are the few. You are the strong.
You are the brave.
How we doing, ladies and gentlemen?
What's up, guys? Watch this to the very end, because not only is this super important and everything you need to know, there might be a little Easter egg at the end of this video. Me and Adam Calhoun are dropping our brand new album, The Brave, this Friday, February 18th at 9 a.m. And the only place in the entire world that you can get it is hangovergang.com. There's gonna be autographed copies and
14-day hiatus. I just went on a nice little vacation, a little Tahitian vacation, Went and had some Fiji water. Yeah, right. Now I'm just back from getting shut down. That's all. And we'll see how long this run goes. It may last a while, it may not. But I can guarantee you this. Is however this thing does go, I'm going to keep saying and speaking truth. I'm going to keep saying the things that I'm going to say. And I don't really care, I mean, the way I see it is those of us that are getting censored, shut down, banned, kicked off, deplatformed, canceled. You know what? It means that you're on the right track. That's the way I look at it. Because it seems like the only people out there that are getting the word out about anything are the liars. The liars, the propagandists, the true misinformers. Those of us who actually think critically about things, who actually look into stuff and they say, "We don't do your own homework." Well, how are we not supposed to do our own homework when all we get is nonsensical lies? It's been going on. It's been going on for forever. Okay, this is not just it's not just something that is applicable today. Although it seems like it's getting worse, and the argument comes between social utility or private business, and who has the right to do this and do that. Now, I'm not here to make that call, but it seems to me when you have a certain volume, I mean, to me it seems like the radio station, but then the radio station, of course, is run by the FCC, at least terrestrial radio is. And the same with cable, and I don't understand. I guess I've never quite grasped the concept of if you don't like what you're listening to, you can always turn it off. There is an on and an off switch to everything. There is a way to change the channel. You have options. If you don't like what you're listening to, if it's that bad for you, then you can turn it off. You don't have to listen to it. And if it is that bad, and it's that bad across the board, then everybody else will do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to look at the way this country was set up. Okay, first of all right, we're not going to get sidetracked into the arguments of the questionable origin, okay? Because here we are. We can't change that, okay? We can't go back and change history. You can't do it, okay? There were mistakes made. There's still mistakes made. It's human nature, okay? None of us were there when this thing started off. None of us were there, but we're here now. And I think that we have a responsibility to one another to understand each other, okay? And you can't sit there and say that something that happened, however many years ago, it is a definitive of who we all are now. What we need to be, and what these politicians preach, is they talk about unity and coming together. But yet, they say that when it's campaign time, they say that when it's election time. But when it's time to actually act on these things, when it's time to actually fulfill campaign promises, when it's time to actually move on the things that they preached, the things that they talked about, they don't do it. There's no reason why we shouldn't have Medicare for all. There's no reason why anybody in this country, which was once the most prosperous country on the planet, that's questionable now. It's all in question right now. As Cigar and Jetty and Crystal Ball talk about on their new show Breaking Point. I mean, they bring this up all the time, that we live in a very perilous time right now. We're probably in one of the most perilous times that we've ever been in. And we have no leadership. We have zero leadership right now. And that's a scary thing, because the one thing that the United States always had was leadership. Now, questionable in circumstances, certainly. Most certainly. However, you have to look at it like this as well. We had a black president for 8 years. I mean, I don't believe that you can say the things about racism that people say. Now, does racism exist? Of course it does. And I don't even want to get into it. But if you look at the percentages of white people versus, minorities, and other people are minorities in this country because it's predominantly white. So you had to have a majority of white people vote for Barack Obama 2 times in a row. Now, what happened during that presidency that ended up with Donald Trump coming in? You got to ask yourself that. It wasn't racism. That didn't have anything to do with it. And these people, they want to say that it did, and it didn't. Because if that were the case, then why in the world would Barack Obama, and you could say, oh, well, white people didn't come out. Why wouldn't white people come out to vote? If they were racist, wouldn't they have come out to vote against a black man? I'm just saying, I'm just using a little bit of common sense here. That's what I try and do, is look at things from a common sense point of view. And for that, I've been shut down twice now. And third time's the charm, I guess, is what they're coming at me with. And the crazy thing is what I got shut down for this last time was something that other people came out with a couple days later, and their streams are still up. Their shows are still up. There's still tons of misinformation out there about Ukraine, and they're saying now you can't say misinformation about Ukraine. But what's misinformation? Is misinformation saying that the Ghost of Kyiv was a real thing? Because it wasn't. It was a video game. It was a clip from a video game. Didn't happen. Snake Island, 13 dead. Didn't happen. But yet people are still holding that up. They're still propping that up like that. Something that really, like, I talk to people every day about that. When I tell them that didn't happen, that those Ukrainian soldiers actually went back to their families, they look at me incredulously, like, what are you, like I'm spitting propaganda. No, look it up. I can look it up right now if you'd like me to, and put it on here. Apparently I have to do that. I mean, even the last time I had a study from a Swedish university Lund University. And I in no way, shape, or form made it sound like it was my opinion or anything like that. I simply cited the study. I was scrolling through it. It was up on the screen. You could see the people that were involved in, the creation of the study, the writing of it, the observation, the whole thing. I was saying nothing other than, hey, look, maybe you might want to look into this. It's just like, and this is fact too. Maybe I need to just start pulling this stuff up, so I'm not labeled as putting out misinformation, because now I've been labeled as I've been thrown into that guise of misinformation a number of times, and to the best of my knowledge, although some of you might not agree with it, it hasn't been misinformation. I've never sat here and told anybody what to do with anything that has to do with them medically. All I've ever said is make your own choice. Consult your physician. Do what you need to do. I've never been I've never been anti-vax. Not ever once. I've relayed my personal story, having gone through COVID twice. All I've said is, this is my experience. This is what I went through. That's it. And apparently that's misinformation. Now, when I'm talking about a personal experience of mine, and I'm telling you as the listener, this is my experience. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm not telling you to follow my lead. I'm not telling you to take action in the way I did. How is that misinformation? Am I lying about what I went through? I mean, how can they prove that? I mean, if I were doing that, then certainly you could say it was misinformation, but I don't see how anybody can prove that that's the case. I mean, I've relayed personal experiences, Is that a lie? I don't get it. We're shutting one another down. We don't listen to each other anymore. We go by these community guidelines that, who puts these up? The bots? The AI? I mean, this stuff it's ridiculous. And then, I put in an appeal and said, hey, what did I say? They won't even tell you what you said. They just route you. They reroute you to a pre-typed out list of their guidelines. And trust me, I've read them, trying to figure out what it was that I said or did, and I can't find any of it. I don't see it. Maybe somebody listened to, the show, the one that I got shut down on was up for just a little bit. If any of you guys have seen me on, I've pretty much just been stuck to Facebook. I've put a few things out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor.fm. But it's really, I don't know, it's gotten to a point right now where it's just absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy how stupid we are and easily offended and just ridiculous. I mean, how can you be if you know that somebody's telling you something that's bullshit, then turn the channel or refute it. Come back at it. Call it out. That's what we used to do in this country. We would call out bullshit. But now, we want to just bury our heads in the sand. We want to start crying and whining. Canceling people. Dangerous misinformation. How in the hell are words coming out of my mouth dangerous misinformation to you? I mean, if that's the case, then you ain't got a head on your shoulders. You know what I mean? Just like I don't have a head on my shoulders if I sit here and I buy the BS that I see coming at me all day long. I see the BS come at me. I tell you, you know what I do? I sit down and I do my homework on it. I dig into it. What's stopping anybody else from doing that? You just believe what you hear on the internet? Is that what we've bred, is just a bunch of morons that just sit there and just listen to this crap? Apparently so. And if you're listening to the MSM, if you're watching, the garbage that they're putting out there, not one of us has a single clue. I mean, the things that are going on right now, here's what I know, okay? Here's what I know. We live in a country where we're paying an exorbitant amount for our fuel. We have to be able to get to and from where we're going, right? Am I wrong? Are we going back to horse and buggy? Because even if we do that, the leftists are going to come out about methane gas or whatever coming out of the horse's ass because, if any of you ever been to the 4th of July parade here in Cody, you see how much horse shit ends up out on the street because, you've got horses up and down the street. It's a mess. It's a mess. I mean, it's all just posturing and it's nonsense, and it's about the lobbyists and these politicians. They're accepting up to $5,000 for a vote. They all sit there and they posture when they're on C-SPAN or CNN or whatever. You've got Skeletor sitting there, in the the State of the Union address that Trump gave, and she just rips up his, and then during Biden's when he's talking about burn pits and the nasty exposure that our soldiers are getting to these burn pits in war, and she stands up and she's doing this. What is this? Is she trying to let her know? I mean, she's standing there with that big goofy. Don't hear a thing about it on mainstream media, do you? This is the third most powerful person on the planet, standing there maniacally doing this. When the president is talking about the burn pits that he is directly relating to the death of his son. Now, I never make light of his son's death. I think it's a horrible thing. He did not, I don't know where he got the cancer, but, it's not too far-fetched to say that could have possibly been it, I don't know. I mean, in no way would I make light of it. Does it come off sometimes like he uses it to kind of grandstand on issues? That's up to you to decide. I'm not telling anybody how to make any decisions or anything like that, but I'm telling you that you need to, my whole point is that you've got to think about these things. You can't just jump in hook, line, and sinker. I mean, look at how many times we've been lied to. I mean, in my lifetime, I can only go back to 1976, right? But then I can also, go back prior to that through things that I've, learned from, say my father, my grandfather who was in World War II. So you kind of get a history of things through your family, so for me, the lies go back, in my mind, like the Gulf of Tonkin, right? And we can go back further than that too. No doubt about it. We can go back to 1913. That was a hell of a year. If you guys don't know what happened in 1913, I'd suggest maybe just look it up. Do some homework. I don't want to get shut down on my first show back. So, I'm just trying to give you direction, leads per se, ideas. And, when we start outlawing ideas, we're in some serious trouble. And I think that's where we're at, because ideas and thoughts and concerns and critical thought are being thrown out the window. We've been encouraged not to think critically about things. And that's just absolutely crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Well, let's see if we can find this. Let's see if we can pull this nonsensical gobbledygook up. How long is this video for? I think this is a relatively short one. And that one, here we go. This is a good one right here.
Such strength and clarity, and just like Joe's uninspiring State of the Union speech last night, instead of showing real leadership on the world stage, Joe basically read off a wish list of repackaged, build back, broke proposals. and he offered no plan to curb inflation, or no plan to lower gas prices, no plan to secure the border, no plan to reduce violent crime, no plan to counter China. And by the way, Taiwan, I would argue, keep a close eye on it. Probably not going to be that long. And he didn't even bother to mention the 13 U.S. soldiers who died as a result of his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, or the Americans who have been trapped behind enemy lines. Today, by the way, is day 200. Joe abandoned them. And by the way, Joe and the media, they not only abandoned them, they turned the page and they've moved on. Pretty unforgivable. Now, Joe also didn't seem to have much of a plan to assist the people of Ukraine, but he did manage to call them Iranians, leaving the vice president a little bit embarrassed. Take a look.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom.
Ukrainian, Joe, not Iranian, Ukrainian. One of many awkward moments from a very simple speech. Frankly, one that could have been written by a fifth grader that still proved too difficult for our struggling commander-in-chief. You decide.
We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, and a pound of Ukrainian people, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. You can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases. Ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines hold up 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? And may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
Go get him.
Go get him. Go get who? Trying to emulate Larry the Cable Guy, you know, get her done. I mean, what was that all about? Anyway, meanwhile, as Joe was mumbling and bumbling his way through a very simple speech, our 81-year-old Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, was having her own malfunction in a very bizarre way. Now, take a look at her very joyous reaction to Biden's comments about burn pits in the Iraq War. You maybe can explain this to me, because I can't.
Iraq and Afghanistan faced many dangers, one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. These burn pits that incinerate waste.
He's talking about...
Can someone explain that to me?
I mean,
anyway, I digress. And then there's...
I mean, he's talking about the thing that he thinks is responsible for his son, you know, getting cancer and unfortunately passing away from it. And, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and, you know, say anything other than that. That's very unfortunate. What's she doing? Look at, I mean, she's like grinning, and I mean, these are the people those are the top three right there. 1, 2, 3 that you see. Let me pull this back up just so you can see. All right, let's go here. We got numero uno, okay, 79 pushing 80. We got this other one over here, Kamala Harris. Now, for those who don't know, Ukraine is a country in Europe, and it's bordered by a larger country called Russia. Well, Russia decided to invade that smaller country, and we don't believe that's right. And then, she talked about the passage of time the other night. Did anybody hear that? Oh my God. I mean, that was really something. We're going to have to pull that up and have a listen to that too, because that was really just really something. I mean, talking about prophetic. I mean, just the type of wisdom that you would expect from a vice president. I mean, Dan Quayle not being able to spell potato is better than this, you know. Let's go, Kamala. And what was that? Passage of time, right? What was she was talking about? Yeah, the passage of time speech. This was really something. I keep trying to find something from a different news outlet other than Fox, but the thing is the other news outlets won't play any of it. Like there's no, I mean, you go through here and you don't, I mean, I can't find another, there's not another news outlet that'll even, I mean, approach it. And if they do, they probably grandstand it and make it look to be something else. So I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to always play Fox. I'm not trying to play Fox stuff, but all right, here we go with Mrs. Bizarro.
We were all doing a tour of the library here and talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
We don't know. We don't know. That was Vice President Kamala Harris on the road in Louisiana. She is facing backlash this morning after that rambling speech, the word salad, referencing the significance of the passage of time 4 times in about 30 seconds. It comes as the Vice President's national security advisor steps down, her 10th high-profile staffer to leave since June. I'm with Ryan Payne and Joe Concha this morning. Joe, what do you think she's trying to say there?
She's very talented.
Well, you know, it sounds a lot like her explanation around when she was asked about COVID testing when there was no testing back in December. And I actually have this hanging in my nice little home studio here, Maria, a quote from her at the time. It is time for us to do what we have been doing. And that time is every day. She also said about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, so Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong, and it goes against everything we stand for. When you take Kamala Harris out of teleprompter, much like her boss, things tend to go sideways, and you get odd statements like this. And that's why so many voters see her ill-equipped for the big job, ultimately, that she was kind of being prepped for as a plan B to Joe Biden in case he didn't run in 2024. No, this isn't Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And it's why Kamala Harris's approval ratings are basically in the 30s right now, because people just don't see her as very competent, quite frankly, or well-spoken.
But how is it possible? How is it possible that she's that unprepared?
That's a very good question. I mean, she shouldn't be allowed to ever speak in public again, you know? The significance of the passage of time. And when we talk about the significance of the passage of time, we're talking about the significance. I just want to try to find the whole thing. Oh, God, she made a remark.
Vice President Kamala Harris being mocked once again for another doozy of a word salad statement. This time, Kamala was giving a speech about affordable internet access.
About the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time.
You know, she didn't win a single vote. You know that? I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, there were other females that were running. I mean, even Amy Klobuchar or even Elizabeth Warren were, I mean, at least more dynamic than this. And it's like the whole thing we've been watching with Judge Jackson with these the hearings that have been going on there. I mean, they try and make it sound like the Republicans are being racist because they bring up the fact that Biden came out and said when it's time to appoint a Supreme Court justice, he's going to appoint a black female. Do I have a problem with a black female being on the Supreme Court? Absolutely not. But when you just say this is what we're going to do because this is, it's when you're just throwing any other person that might be qualified out the window. I mean, the shit that they pulled with Kavanaugh And that, I mean, that woman was lying. Look at her body language. Come on. I mean, she didn't even, I mean, they put her up to it. They put her up to doing that. Now, Kavanaugh didn't handle it that well, and I don't quite frankly agree with much of Kavanaugh's, I mean, honestly, I don't. I mean, that dude, he's completely anti-Fourth Amendment. He's all about getting up in your shit, and you know, I really am not a big fan of his. But I think that the way that they treated the man was pretty, it's pretty blatantly just partisan garbage. They talked that woman into doing that, and you could tell she was lying the whole time. I mean, they're in her ear, you know. And the funny thing about that one was Biden comes out, believe all women. But the funny thing is that after that happened, then Tara Reid comes out and brings up what happened with her and Biden, and you look at her body language. Nah. That woman wasn't lying. I mean, I'm pretty good at this. I'm pretty good at this body language stuff. I've studied it. I'm not saying I'm a fucking professional or anything like that, but I'm fairly adept at being able to read, you know, what people are actually saying. I mean, our verbal communication really only sums up a tiny bit of what we're actually saying. It's probably going to be even hard to find anything with, I mean, you can look at the difference and you can see. I mean, when she talks about what happened to her, you know, and then Biden was saying, believe all women, believe all women. Well, no, I spelled it wrong. That's why I didn't get it. Okay. You know, so he goes from believe all women to then all of a sudden, well, but this didn't happen. And it's like, wait a minute, what? I mean, what do you mean it didn't happen? I mean, believe all women, but unless it's you? I'm trying to find some place that's just going to put an actual legit, okay, here we go. Let's talk about body language. Here we go.
I'm Scott Rouse. I'm a body language expert and analyst, and I train law enforcement in the military in interrogation and body language.
I'm Greg Hartley. I'm a former Army interrogator, interrogation instructor, resistance to interrogation instructor.
Hi there, I'm Mark Bowden. I'm an expert in human behavior and body language, and I help people all over the world to stand out, win trust, gain credibility.
Hey, I'm Chase Hughes. I did 20 years in the U.S. military, and nowadays I've published a couple of books on body language, and I teach body language, behavior profiling, interrogation.
It's not political. We call them like we see them. It's important to understand that and keep that in your mind as we go along.
No, that's all.
As we await for the records from the National Archives, are you absolutely certain? Are you absolutely positive there is no record of any complaint by Tara Reid against you?
I am absolutely positive that no one that I'm aware of ever has been made aware of any complaint, a formal complaint made by or a complaint by Tara Reid against me at the time this allegedly happened 27 years ago or until I announced.
Now, for those of you that don't know, if you answer a question like that with that kind of an answer, you were lying. You are lying. If somebody asks you that question and you don't know anything about it, you're not guilty of what is being, thrown at you. First of all, you're indignant. You look at him right at him and you're going, this is absolute nonsense. Absolutely not. Let's move on. Listen to that answer. Let's go back a little bit here.
Absolutely certain. Are you absolutely positive there is no record of any complaint by Tara Reid against you?
I am absolutely positive that no one that I'm aware of ever has been made aware of any complaint, a formal complaint made by or a complaint by Tara Reade against me at the time this allegedly happened 27 years ago or until I announced for I guess it was in April or May of this year. I know of no one who's aware that any complaint was made.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the entire thing. He took a yes or no question and answered with about a 27-word answer that is just, if you heard, it's cadenced as if he's practiced it.
Ultimately, there's some thought patterns there that don't sign up to our usual way of just trying to explain to somebody it didn't happen. No.
Right.
If someone removes you from the answer twice,
and they're lying,
there's a high likelihood of deception.
His request for approval is certainly there. His blink rate is up.
Interruptions, non sequiturs.
Count how many times did we get removed? If I'm imagining this scenario, how many times did I get removed from that man by date or time or person or group or anything else that takes us out of the yes or no question? Let's see how many times we got.
I am absolutely positive that no one that I'm aware of ever has been made aware of any complaint, a formal complaint made by or a complaint by Tara Reade against me at the time this allegedly happened 27 years ago or until I announced for I guess it was in April or May of this year. I know of no one who's aware that any complaint was made.
Catch her chin jut?
Go ahead.
Please.
Boy, she is PO'd at this cat, man. But yeah, she gets a hardcore old school chin jut up on him, so.
Go ahead.
Please.
Yeah, she does. Look at that. She even knew.
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. The president has a big...
I'm not going nuts. Yeah, you're not going nuts. You already were nuts. Anyway, that's who we have over there right now in Europe that's taking questions, taking a podium, and representing us globally in this complete boondoggle that's going on in Eastern Europe, between Russia and Ukraine. And that was a tough deal. To me it is, because obviously I've never been there. I don't back any of this stuff that I've seen, okay? The destruction, the death. This didn't need to happen. It didn't need to happen. And I mean, honestly, my opinion, this is my opinion, okay? This isn't a fact, but my opinion is that Trump's in office, what we got going on right now doesn't happen. We're not paying what we're paying at the pump. People saying, it's going down. It's like, oh, really? I mean, I was looking at trying to drive down to Arizona like next week, and I mean, I can't even afford to drive down there in my truck. I mean, I was filling it up for $75 for a 38-gallon tank. Not too bad. Especially when I can get 660 miles out of a tank of fuel. Now, I mean, I'm, 150? Pushing 200 probably. And then I get down to southern states, it's probably going to be even more. He's coming out saying, people need to get back on the roads and get back to work. And go out there and, I mean, what are you going to do? Just go work to pay for your gas, for your fuel? Go to work to pay for your groceries? I mean, and we're coming up on a food shortage. It's going to be happening here. It's coming. I mean, it's just, it's not getting any better. They said, it's just going to be, this inflation is transitory. And then he tries to blame Putin for the inflation. Well, you know what? I've been talking about inflation for the last two years. I mean, before the election, Trump came out and said, yeah, elect Biden. Let's see what happens. You'd end up with $7, $8, $9 a gallon fuel. Well, guess what? He lied about that as much as he lied about, being spied upon. As much as he lied about what went on with the DNC and Russiagate. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the man's demeanor, his character, the way he carries himself. Not necessarily, but you know what? I mean, the things he said. I mean, everybody called him a conspiracy theorist. When it came to like Biden's kid's laptop. Now the New York Post has come out and said that this is a thing. It was his laptop. There's child pornography on there. There's emails and there's photos and there's stuff on there that they just completely suppressed. They pulled the New York Post down, right? The New York Post, founded in 1801, off the top of my head, by who? Alexander Hamilton. So it's the oldest newspaper in the country. And do they have some kind of tabloid stuff like that on there? Yeah, sure. But they are also they've actually been, if you look at it, if you look up the New York Post, they've been a very credible source. They had their Twitter account shut down. So this is a problem. We have the censorship going on in social media. YouTube is doing it. I mean, you have to watch everything that you're saying now. Even if you're citing a medical document. They say medical misinformation when you're citing a medical document. How in the hell is that? Is it because it's a medical document that they don't want anybody to hear about? Because they don't want you to know about? They don't want you to know about a reverse transcription that happens in an in vitro study, which I completely explained, and my episode was completely taken off, and it's gone. I still have it. I may put it out again because you know what? A couple of days later, guys that were bigger than me, they come out with it and it stays up. But I get banned for 14 days. My appeal is shut down in a fraction of a second. I put that appeal in. I didn't even have a chance to check my email before it came back and just said, nope, denied. You have no more, there's no more repercussions. There's no more, they basically said, screw you. You're done for 14 days and there's nothing you can do or say about it. Now, I feel like I'm owed an apology. I feel like I am. I mean, I'm trying to come up in this whole space and to get shut down for 14 days. It is over nothing. It's unacceptable. I didn't give out any misinformation. I read a study from an accredited university. I showed it to everybody. I had the document up on the screen. I was reading through it by line. Everybody got to see who was involved. I mean, there were citations in there. There was documentation. I mean, it was all there. So who's doing the misdeed here? I mean, when actual information is being, hacked up, thrown away, and people like myself who don't even have a huge audience are being shut down, who's next? I mean, they've already tried to do it with Rogan. They've done it with a bunch of these doctors. I mean, they're trying to come after Russell Brand. I mean, I watched that stupid video game writer, whatever, from The Independent, come after Russell Brand the other day. And I mean, talk about a stupid fucking article. I mean, the guy just sat there and contradicted himself the whole way. And I mean, he made stupid jokes, made Russell Brand, tried to make him look bad. But I mean, I would have just loved to have seen him and Russell actually having a conversation, because Russell would have just shut him down immediately. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in Russell's mind. That's why he laughed about it. I mean, he's like the new yoga Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. I mean, much love to Russell Brand. I mean, I like I said, I've said it over and over again. I love watching that guy's stuff. He's firing on he's on a whole different level than I am. I mean, I know my limitations and I know who I am, and I'll tell you what, that guy, I mean, he's just, I mean, I got nothing but respect for that dude. And nothing but really, I mean, anybody that's coming after him, you're just laughable. Same with anybody coming after Joe Rogan. You're laughable. You're laughable. Coming against a guy that's got, 200 million subscribers, gets, 11 million views per podcast. And you're going to sit up and come at him, I don't know. It's just bizarre. It really is, and I'm glad Spotify has at least stood behind him. And I think that why wouldn't you? If he was some lesser individual, if they didn't have $100 million invested in him, if he didn't bring in the viewership that he does, the listeners that he does, I don't know. Maybe we're looking at a different story in that situation. I would like to think not, but maybe we are. It all comes down to the money, I guess. So when you're a guy like Joe, as opposed to a guy like me, and that's what's crazy about it to me. Is a guy like me that has no listenership. I barely have any viewers. I'm 100 and some odd episodes in, and I've got a few faithful out there that like listening to the show, and I appreciate it, every single one of you. And so if you listen to this, if you get value at all, if you listen to it for more than a couple of minutes and you like anything that you hear on here, whatever, just give me a thumbs up. You don't understand how far that goes to helping me out. I don't want to be that guy. I'm not trying to ask for money from anybody. Not at all. I'm not asking for any coin from anyone. I'm not doing a GoFundMe and none of that shit. But it helped. Just it's a simple act of hitting like, even interacting with content. Just give me a comment. Comment on it. Let me know how you feel. Let me know what you think. Let me know where you're at. That gives us an opportunity to interact, and I don't care. On YouTube, it's great. Bookface, whatever. I'm gonna keep it tempting to get these things out. It just takes a lot of time. To upload this stuff, it takes a lot of time to do this. That's why I kind of do the live stream. Number one, I believe that there's authenticity in speaking live, and whether I make mistakes or not, which I have made plenty, and you guys know that. You guys have watched it before and gone, oh, geez, what is he doing? Or where I've got something playing in the background that I don't know about. I don't know about this stuff. Build you some cabinets, build you a table, frame you a wall, do some drywall, paintwork, mud and tape, whatever. Put down a floor for you. I can do all that. No problem. This is a whole new space for me. So I appreciate the patience that I've been given from a lot of you. And I'm happy to be back, and hopefully I didn't say anything tonight that's going to get me cut off again. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. If I did, then I'll see you back on Facebook and Rumble, or come up with something else. I don't know. But I'm not going to stop saying what I'm saying. I'm not going to, I'm not just going to just lay back and roll over. And I see a lot of creators doing that right now. They're like, oh, we can't say this, we can't say that. Why? That's what gets me. What is the motivation to say that you can't speak freely and that you can't equally react if you don't agree? I don't get it. I don't get it. That's how we all have our relationships in life, right? We speak to one another for the most part freely, and you're in a relationship and you have an argument, you talk it out. But now we can't even talk it out, because unless your point of view comes exactly from where they say it has to come from, then you don't even deserve the opportunity to have somebody contradict you or come at you with a different point of view. And to me, that's where we gain perception and we grow. I'm always fine with somebody telling me, hey, dude, your thinking is all screwed up, man. You know, look at it this way. And if there's validity to it, you know, I'm like, hey, thank you. That's always been my point of view. I know that I'm, you know, I mean, I just got a monkey brain. I'm nobody special, you know. I mean, and if I'm out there, like I said, if I'm out there in the weeds wandering around, hey, rein me in, you know, I'll appreciate it. I'm not going to sit there and let my ego take over and sit there and just stomp around like a little baby. I mean, you called me out on something and you got me on it and you're right and you straightened me out. Hey, thank you. But for some reason we can't have that anymore. And I don't get it, you know. But that's enough. I've been rambling on and on and on. So I'm going to shut it down for the night. Glad that I'm able to at least come back here to YouTube. I don't know why. I feel like I've been fairly mistreated, you know, across the board since I started this thing. I've had strikes and warnings, and I mean, just for, you know, for telling about my personal experience and doing so in a manner that's not saying this is what you need to do and, you know, influencing anybody to go any certain direction. The only thing that I know is my personal experience. That's all any of us knows. So if we've come to a point in society where we can't even relay our personal experiences to our peers, then where are we at? I mean, am I supposed to sit here and just follow their narrative? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to. Especially if, in my experience, something's happened to me that it might be helpful to you. Now, you could take that experience, and you could take that and you can make it whatever you want. But, I mean, why the fuck do we look at reviews of products? Because that has to do with other people's experiences, right? I mean, when you buy shit on Amazon, how many of you look at the reviews? I know I do. I look at the stars. I mean, when okay, this one's got 3.5, this one's got 4.5, okay? And you start scrolling through. But what I do as well is I always go down and I try and find a couple of the highest ones. And then I go down to the 1 stars and see what they got to say about the product. I mean, that's what this is all about. It's just, I mean, it's your experience. I mean, basically, I'm giving a review on you know, what happened to me. So you can take it or you can leave it. I'm not forcing it down anybody's throat. I mean, I mean, even if I sat here and did, you know, yell and scream, is it really going to influence you if what I'm saying is a complete boondoggle nonsense, bunch of haberdashery garbage? I would hope not. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. But, you know, we've allowed this to happen to us, folks. And we'll get into that more next time. But, you know, I started that off with that little monologue, or I guess not a monologue, it was a dialogue. And I thought that was pretty good, you know. It's like time to be heroes. You can't sit there and wait for somebody else to step up. It's up to all of us to step up. And to reach down and lend a hand to somebody that's trying to get their ass out of the ditch or out of the weeds. Give them a hand. Help them out. Help out your brother and sister. It's that easy. That's what we need to do. We need to quit letting these, you know, these nonsensical people run our lives and tell us what, you know, what we can and can't do. As long as you're not doing any harm to anybody, you can do whatever you like. And speech is not harm. You know, relaying personal experience is not causing harm to somebody. I mean, I've lived my whole life listening to older people, you know, talk about what they went through in their life, what they, you know, relaying similar things that they went through as younger people to what I'm going through. And I've always loved sitting down and listening to the wisdom of somebody that's older than me, somebody that's been around. I mean, quite frankly, there's nothing better. I mean, because you're getting you're getting a free guidebook through difficult situations. And I've had a lot of people older than me help me through times that, and I've not always made the best decisions. Everybody who knows me knows that. And without a doubt, I'll continue to make decisions that are, even with my best thoughts, are going to be, like I said, out in the weeds. We're all going to do that, but we can help each other out. But what we don't need to do is just shut each other down and just, do this and, oh, well, he's not following the narrative. Well, who's making up the narrative? Come on. Open your eyes, follow the, this is just a paraphrase, but I believe this came about in the, in the Roman era. It was basically, it goes along the lines of saying follow the money, but it was like, who tends to benefit from a circumstance? Who tends to benefit? And you got to look at that, like, who's benefiting from this? Because everything that you see on the news, everything that you watch, there's somebody that's benefiting from it. Now, you also got to look at people who are just speaking, like myself. I'm not trying to benefit from anything here. The benefit to me is if anybody out there listening can take a step back and maybe examine some of the things I've talked about. Come up with your own opinion. Stop following the narrative. I'm not asking for any money from anybody. I'm not asking for, like I said, there's no GoFundMe. There's no nothing. I'm not making anything off of this. I've put a ton into it. I've put everything into it. That's why just a thumbs up means the world to me. Or give me a thumbs down. Tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care one way or another. Interact. Just talk to each other. That's a big thing, is we got to communicate with one another. We have to have that, that communication. It needs to be open, not broke down. But as long as the powers that be can keep breaking it down, then they're just going to stay where they're at. And how in the world are we a nation of this many people and we're sitting here? None of us know what to do about fuel prices, for one thing. None of us know what to do about prices at the grocery store. What are you talking about? We are the many. And we just sit here and act like there's nothing we can do just because of these few thousand people that call the shots and run the show? Come on, we all know what we can do. We all know what we're capable of. How about we go out there and do that instead? So I would say walk away. Wake up, walk away. Be awake, don't be woke. On that note, I'm going to end it like I always do. Be good, or be good at it. In all things be kind, and do no harm. All right? Take care of y'all onion heads. And I'll catch you tomorrow at some point. All right. Peace out. And I'll take you out with a little Tom McDonald, huh?
They separate us from our neighbors and they call it social distancing. It's actually a bigger plan. It's called social conditioning. They took away our privacy. There's always someone listening. They're rigging the elections, planning riots for the citizens. The government has always lied. It's history repeating. But the problem is the schools dumb you down so you believe them. If you try to speak the truth inside a tweet, then they delete it. Whole administration Satanists who claim they praise in Jesus. Every year there's a new name for enemies that we're facing. It's Al-Qaeda, then ISIS, and now American patriots. Who would have thought those who love the country the most would be hated on by folks who call America home? Both political parties are equally just as evil. They've been working for themselves, don't give a damn about the people. Black, white, yellow, brown, humanity needs you. Cause united we stand, divided they will defeat you. The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
Y'all missing what was written in them pages. That was history they wrote, now you wanna change it. You racist, you You hate this. Why you want us all to be locked up in cages? I can't stand the left, everything they say's depressing. Ship them to the Middle East, they can learn oppression. Believe me, I mean this quite literal. I love liberty, but I hate white liberals. Wear a mask, stay home, complain and moan. Talk about privilege on your phone in your Range Rover, Starbucks, mango, foo-foo, whatever. The cloth I'm cut from can handle any weather. You just paper in the rain, we ain't the same. Stand for the flag, only kneel when I pray. I just pray we go back to the old days, land of the free, home of the brave.
The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
Yeah. I see through all the illusions, refuse to hear rumors or accept that we're losing. Easy to get caught up, consumed by the consumer. Truth is so diluted, people starve off the confusion. Comfort is the killer, your dreams execution. Cool with persecution if I make a contribution. Home of the brave look like a mental institution, and there will be revolution if we can't find resolution. And a threat is a promise, stand up, pay homage. They tell lies, I'm being honest, test the time is upon us. I know that God got us, so I'm fighting in his honor. Hear the cries of the crusaders as we're strapping up our armor. Either set a higher ground or drown in a drama. If I die for what I love, then my death will be nirvana. We fighting for our freedom, don't believe what they've been feeding. Be the change you want to see, the warrior that we're needing.
The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
We don't trust the news, the government, or pharma. We just want freedom, that you have that to offer. We don't want the lies, the politics, or the drama. We just want the life that was promised by our fathers. We don't trust the news, the government, or pharma. We just want freedom, that you have that to offer. We don't want the lies, the politics, or the drama. We just want the life that was promised by our fathers.
The man on the news says the problem